Folks, I am super excited about our show tonight. With me, coming back to the show, is none other than the host of Pushing the Limits, uh, Brian Shapiro. He is outspoken, he is fearless, and he will get in your face in a heartbeat if you don't come correct. But first, before I get into that, let me get into this. We are currently in America is experiencing a crisis of confidence. And when I say that, I don't mean a crisis of consumer confidence, although if you were to listen to clowns like Kevin Hassett, Trump's economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, you might understand why we are having a consumer confidence crisis.
And so the consumer is really firing on all cylinders, just like the corporate sector you're seeing in the earnings reports. And they're doing that because they have so much more money in their pockets. In fact, I had the head of one of the big 5 banks in my office yesterday going through the credit card data. And just as Secretary Bessent said, credit card spending is through the roof. They're spending more on gasoline, but they're spending more on everything else too.
Folks, that is not a brag. It is not a brag that the American people are so broke they have to use their credit cards to buy gas. But it takes a hell of a lot of confidence in order to say that with a smile on your face. No, the kind of crisis of confidence that I'm talking about is a crisis in confidence in our leadership. And I'm specifically talking about the president of the United States. He will look us in the face and tell us that in Iran, a deal is close. But he said that 12 times since the start of the war. He will tell us that it's not a war. And then 10 seconds later, he'll call it a war. He'll also tell us, he'll look us dead in the face and say it over and over and over that his new ballroom will not cost the American taxpayer a penny, not a cent. And then he'll turn around and put American taxpayers on the hook for $1 billion. So when I talk about a crisis of confidence, I'm talking about the fact that we cannot have an iota of confidence in a word that comes out of the mouth of the person who leads our country. Some people would call Donald Trump, and have called him, a con man. Well, the word con man, the phrase con man, half of that is confidence. It's actually a confidence man. And Donald Trump's thing is he'll look you in the face and he has all the confidence in the world with which he lies to you. But it's time for America to stop buying the lies and have the confidence to ditch him and his party. And before we get into that, I'm going to introduce in a little bit, I'm going to introduce a friend of mine who has recently been involved with, excuse me, hang on a second. He's been involved with a group of youth who are reaching out in the same way that TPUSA has reached out to the youth in the college campuses. This group, Unfuck America, they're doing basically the same thing, just for the left, for Democrats, for liberals. My guest today hosts his own radio show. I don't know how he does it every day. It's called Pushing the Limits. And not only is his show informative, but let me just tell you, it is so entertaining. What I love about watching him is how he will bring some MAGA people onto his show, and they try to spew the same nonsense that you and I see on Twitter all day long. The problem for them is that Brian, he does not suffer fools lightly. He will not suffer fools anyway. He will go at them and make them sorry that they asked for the smoke. So we're going to get into a bunch of things today. So I hope you're ready for it, because I am. Let's go. Incredible person, incredible human being. Yes, TPUSA. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Defiant Weekly. I'm your host, Majid Padelin, aka BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad Defiant. And with us today is none other than my friend, the dynamic, the powerful, the fearless Brian Shapiro.
BDD,
Welcome,
good to be on with you again, my man. Always enjoy doing your show, and I appreciate you always doing mine. So a pleasure to be on with you.
I feel like I just saw you like an hour ago.
A few hours ago. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you're not sick of me by now. No, it's great to be on with you, man. I always love it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. For letting me have you back here. We have some things to discuss today. So up front, our graphic, our thumbnail title graphic for the show is Trump's $1 billion scam. And that refers to obviously the ballroom that we were originally told was going to cost $200 million privately funded, and then it was 300 million, and then it was 400 million, and now it is ballooned to $1 billion. And Republican congressmen have the audacity to want to queue this up for the taxpayer. And of course, the Iran war continues, maybe because apparently Epic Fury is finished and Project Freedom ended before, or it's suspended before it even began. And apparently Donald Trump says a deal is close, but he's been saying that, and you should know better to believe a damn thing out of his mouth. Last but not least, when did MAGA become fragile snowflakes? Well, our friend Adam Mockler brought this point to the forefront in front of the world and exposed Scott Jennings as a snowflake that he is. But he's not the only snowflake there. Even the president of the United States is one as well. We'll get into that. So before we do that, make sure if this is your first time here, you hit the subscribe button and the like button, especially that like button, because it definitely helps the show. But obviously, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your kids, tell everyone about this show. Now, so Brian, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I want you to straighten me out here, right? So let's give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. The White House has been there for a very long time, right? People have said that it legitimately is too small for certain things. What's the problem? What's wrong with Donald Trump wanting to upgrade the White House and add some luxurious meeting space? What's wrong with that?
Well, first of all, what's really wrong with it is the American taxpayer is going to pay for it now. That's what's really wrong with it. I would also say that it's completely unneeded. Why they had this event last week at a hotel is beyond me. Just because they had security breaches there doesn't mean that you need to build some ballroom that apparently, allegedly, is inflated now to $1 billion. It's insane. The only reason why I could think that Donald Trump wants to get this done is because he's going to make a profit on it, and or his family and or his friends, contractors, are going to be making money off this. I think it's another Ponzi scheme, and it's another bullshit excuse for Donald Trump to take advantage of the American taxpayer. And I think it's exactly what they're doing. First, it was $200 million paid for by his donors. Then it was inflated to $400 million. And then Caroline Leavitt promised the American people, nope, this won't be one dime on taxpayer dollar. It turns out the entire project, inflated budget, is now going to be paid for by the taxpayers. And Republicans are going to vote for this because they're afraid that if they don't vote for it, Donald Trump is going to get them out of power. So it's just a horrible situation that we're in right now. And I think the first thing that hopefully a Democrat does if they get back elected in office in 2028 is nuke this entire ballroom and all the stench of Donald Trump and the gold plates and everything. Just get rid of all of it.
You mentioned that Republicans are going along with it, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm perplexed. I'm legitimately perplexed because look, if you're involved in politics, it means you know people and you know how people react to certain things, right? You know that if you were to step on train tracks and you see a train coming right your way, you're going to get off those tracks, right? These guys, they see the train coming, and the train, by the way, is the midterm elections. Yeah, the train is the midterm elections, and they are going with Donald Trump. Whether or not he drags them down, his poll numbers are the lowest of any president in modern history. The lowest, I think.
Correct. Yep.
A mere 23% of Americans approve of his handling of the cost of living. 23%. That's abysmal. Why are Republicans hanging on to this albatross?
Well, I think they're very stubborn. It depends which Republicans you're talking to. If you're talking to elected Republicans, they would probably tell you, or they would tell you privately, they're afraid. I mean, they're afraid of voting against Donald Trump. They're afraid of doing anything that Donald Trump doesn't want them to do because they don't want to lose power. As far as the other Republicans go, I think it's one of the worst character traits of MAGA Republicans is they can't admit they're wrong. As long as it's a MAGA Republican that's doing it, everything's just fine. So it's hypocrisy at its finest. And I think just like they have been afraid for the last year and a half, just like they were afraid in Trump's first administration, if you go against the orange turd, they're afraid that they're going to lose their own power. And I think this is just another example of that.
I also happen to think when I was asking you about what's wrong with with this ballroom, aside from the fact that Americans are struggling to pay for a gallon of gas, I've literally seen people, like people interviewed on these news clips, saying that they have to decide between buying gas and buying food. That's outrageous. But aside from that, look at this monstrosity. It's almost twice the size of the White House building, and they didn't consult Congress ahead of time. It's not like they asked the people our permission if we want this. He just went and did it. And so it's like he thrust it upon us. Like, look, if you're in a relationship, right, with somebody, and you know that finances are tight, right? And then you take it upon yourself to go and buy a Bentley. Like, why would you do that? I can't even afford to pay the electric bill, and you're buying a Bentley. We're gonna be, we're in debt. This is gonna put us up Schitt's Creek, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, look at all the gold-plated nonsense. And I know we're going to get into the Iran war, but it's important to note that while he takes 20 million Americans off of Medicaid and millions of people off their food stamps, the people that are getting hurt by Donald Trump the most are the people that are in poverty, the people that are struggling. So while he takes those benefits away from the most needy Americans, he gives the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. And this is what his project is about right now. It's about $1 billion from the American taxpayer to build this stupid ballroom. Meanwhile, we're spending $2 billion a day on a war in Iran. And yet MAGA Republicans want to blame Democrats for the homeless. They want to blame Democrats for all these other issues like mental health. I mean, it's completely insane. And as I've said before, and I said again, there's a reason why Donald Trump wants this ballroom built. And it's not because he wants more security. It's got nothing to do with security or any of that stuff. It's got to do with aligning his own pockets and his friends and his family. And it's the whole reason why he got into office in the first place. So it's absolutely disgusting. It's despicable. And like I said, hopefully we get a Democrat, hopefully to win in 2028 and scrub everything clean, even if it costs the American taxpayer $1 billion. Nuke everything in the White House that has his stench on it. And we need to reset and start over. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
You know what? Honestly, I've talked about this in private. I would pay money, and I'm gonna say I would probably pay up to maybe $200 for the privilege of swinging a sledgehammer, right? Like I don't know if you ever watched those home improvement shows. I love those shows,
Yep.
right? And I keep saying, man, I want to do demos so bad, right? Yeah, I've seen people take the sledgehammer and wham. It would be such a cathartic thing, and I think they could raise enough money just doing that. Some people, if you have deeper pockets, maybe you shell out $1,000 or whatever, and you get to spend like an hour smashing things.
I would spend more than $200. I think that would be worth it. I would enjoy that very much.
Folks, let me know in the comments what you think about that idea. Would you spend good money to assist in demolishing Donald Trump's ballroom? And if so, how much would you be willing to shell out? I'm curious to see. So up here, I had this. Who are the private donors funding Trump's White House ballroom? We still don't know yet, but that is a news clip from a year ago when he was saying that that this ballroom was going to be privately funded. And then now Trump's supposedly private funded ballroom could cost U.S. taxpayers $1 billion. So that is yet another broken promise. He promised to lower prices on day one. He promised no new wars. He promised to hold the Epstein pedophiles accountable, and he's done none of that. He's just doing whatever the hell he wants. What's his strategy? What the hell is he thinking?
Well, he doesn't care. He's a lame duck president, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care about approval ratings. He doesn't care about what those in his own base say. He doesn't care. And if you look at the first go around back in 2015, when he ran against Hillary Clinton, he ran on basically two things. He ran on, we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. To this day, Mexico hasn't paid $1 for a wall. And I think 7% of the wall has been built. And he also said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. He didn't do that either. Even the no tax on tips thing is all bullshit. I mean, I live in Vegas. This is, that industry type town, and it's a cap at 25,000. And if you talk to a lot of people in this town, that are making money on tips, they're making more than $25,000 a year. So it doesn't affect them as much as you would think. And their tax bracket, they're paying more in taxes. So in essence, they're actually paying more, not less. So, I mean, I can't think of one policy, to my knowledge, over the last year and a half that Donald Trump has implemented that's helping poor people or middle-class America.
And that's the bottom line in politics. If you're not helping people, what the hell are you doing? Right.
Yep.
I mean,
exactly. Yep.
He appears to be, as you alluded. I'm so glad you mentioned that he wants to enrich himself with all these like construction projects. That's the goal. I mean, he did spend the majority of his adult career as a contractor, right? So he was building things. So how many construction companies do you think he knows? And people who do supplies, people who supply cement or concrete or whatever, glass, all of those suppliers, he's got his hand in the till for that. In fact, I totally forgot about this, but I'm sure you heard about that airport in Florida that they're going to have named after him.
Yeah, I heard about that as well. I'm just so sick of some of these people getting their names put on streets. And listen, not to get into the whole Charlie Kirk conversation. Obviously, what happened to him was absolutely terrible. But it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, does he want his name on everything? I mean, it's really sad and sick. And I hope Democrats grow a pair. And when they have power, hopefully they're controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House, and just get his name off of everything. I've just had it with this guy. I just want this hell to end. I really do. I just want it to end. I've had enough already, and if people want to say I have Trump derangement syndrome, I think they're the ones that are deranged, that they still support this guy and they look at where this country's at right now and still support him. I can't understand how anybody can still support this man.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. The point I was going to make about that Florida airport that is going to be named after him is that there's a stipulation. wait until you hear this. There's a stipulation that vendors, people who sell stuff in the airport, they're going to have to sell his merch, and he's going to get a cut of everything sold in the airport. How about that?
Well, that's what he does. He's a scam artist. He's a swindler. He's a guy that sells Bibles for $70, made in China for $3. The guy was actually selling parts of his suit that when he was indicted. I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing. That's why we call it a cult. This is a cult with the Bibles and the trading cards and the gold shoes and all this other shit that these idiots, and that's what I'm going to call them. I just don't care. If you're buying this shit, you're an idiot. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We're not a cult. We weren't buying malarkey, posters or whatever, or puppets or whatever the hell these people are buying. We're not a cult. Politicians aren't meant to be looked up to like rock stars. That's not the way this should be. And unfortunately, there's still a percentage of MAGA supporters that are in that cult. And it doesn't matter what the guy does. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If Donald Trump was seen on video molesting a child, there would still be a percentage of these MAGA supporters that would still support him. That's how sick these people are. They're sick.
Damn. I'm saying damn, but I know that you're right. I know what you're saying is 100%. Oops, where did I go? Right here. Hang on. I got you, buddy.
It's okay.
There we go. Okay. Yep. So a few minutes ago, you mentioned Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was the founder of Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA, I think it did more than just go to colleges, right? Was it kind of like what Ben Shapiro does with the Daily Wire kind of thing?
I think Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro are very similar in a lot of ways in that people call them great debaters or whatever else, but they only debated like 19 and 20-year-old liberals.
Unprepared.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Kirk went to colleges mainly just like Ben Shapiro does. And, they got paid a lot of money to debate a bunch of, as you said, unprepared liberals that are 19, 20 years old. I didn't even know how to tie my shoe when I was that age. So, I mean, that's a big criticism I had of Charlie Kirk is that he didn't debate a lot of people his age or older. And Ben Shapiro still doesn't do that.
Now, I wasn't a fan of his style either. I thought it was actually cowardly and very disingenuous because he would be very selective in the clips that he put up. Obviously, he puts up the clips that make him look good and make the liberal look like an idiot. And that's easy to do. If you're in control of the media, then that's what it is. But he was running away from guys like Dean Withers, right? You're familiar with folks. Dean Withers is a young man who's in his 20s, and he's like this. He's made from the same mold as Adam Mockler. He knows his shit, and so Charlie Kirk didn't want none of that smoke. He would basically pick on people who were very emotional and don't know the finer points of debate and how to debate somebody. So, with that said, I do like the premise of going to colleges and having an exchange of ideas, whether it was disingenuous or not. I mean, he did actually engage with people, whether or not, he was being whether he was being a good faith actor in that instance is debatable. But I bring that point up because you and several individuals went to Arizona to debate the folks at Turning Point USA. And I think, are you a member of Unfuck America Tour?
Yeah, I am. And we took a trip to Phoenix to debate college students, at least we were supposed to, at the Arizona State University campus. And then we learned that our permit was pulled. The rumors that we heard is that Erica Kirk didn't want us there. When we heard those rumors from some pretty good sources, what me and a girl by the name of Mercedes, who is a very prominent podcaster, a very prominent person on social media, we had the idea, let's just go down to the Turning Point headquarters. So I was the only one that, I pressed the security button. CNN did a story on this. The cameras were there. And I said, I want to speak to Erica Kirk. I want to know why she doesn't want us here. And I think because I know Jack Posobiec, and I've debated Jack Posobiec on a number of different networks, including the Piers Morgan show, I was a little surprised, actually. But Jack came out. He came out in the middle of his show, continued to live stream, along with Andrew Corvette. And they both came out and they debated me for like an hour and a half. It was kind of surreal.
Is Andrew Corvette one of the leaders of the
he's the one who used to be Charlie Kirk's producer. Now he's the host of the Charlie Kirk show, and he's basically right underneath Erica Kirk. Got it. And I challenged them, and there's video of this, I think, on my YouTube page, and I know CNN did a story about this. We were out there.
If you want me to,
go ahead. Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, let's see. Here we go.
In this area.
Okay, gotcha. Where can we film?
But it started to become clear that Unfuck America's event was not going to happen here today.
We can stay, but we just can't film.
It's only a matter of time.
So I'm outside of the Turning Point USA headquarters right now.
Convinced that Turning Point had something to do with the campus event cancellation, the group thought of another way of making some viral content, showing up on Turning Point's doorstep.
Is Erica Kirk here? Would there be any way? We
There he
are
is.
being censored. We are not allowed to speak at the Arizona State on campus. We want to know why. And we want to be able to have a respectful conversation with somebody.
Inside, far-right provocateur Jack Posobiec was broadcasting his show live. Posobiec has a long history of promoting conspiracy theories like Pizzagate.
I'm literally doing the show right now, dude.
Yes. There's, the Unf America guys. So they're outside right now.
Wait, they're outside. They're here.
Yes, right outside the gate.
It seemed like Posobiec also thought that this would be good content.
Hey everybody, Brian Shapiro here in front of the official Turning Point headquarters.
Unfuck America tour was canceled at ASU.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for coming out.
Let's go. You're in 47 hat. So,
Disguise.
What happened?
We're just a little frustrated because we agree on freedom of speech, what Charlie Kirk stood for. Right?
We truly thought you guys had something to do with us being canceled at ASU because the timing was very suspicious. From the
I didn't even know you guys were coming until I heard that there was, I got a press inquiry about it saying, did we have anything to do with it? And yeah, we didn't. So
While online the rhetoric was heated, in person it became a respectful conversation of the day's politics, even a photo op. So he came out here, started debating these guys, and they've been debating for like more than an hour now. It's 110 degrees.
I think Trump is done, and I think we can take back the youth vote from Turning Point.
oh no, I don't see that happening.
I think it's going to happen.
Who do you have? You don't have anybody.
Come to our event tonight. We're
Talarico?
we're talking to Turning Point. For our candidate. I think Gavin Newsom is gonna be our guy.
That was an excellent clip. Was it 110 there?
It was really hot. So what we ended up doing is we rented out a studio, and we had a bunch of Turning Point students, and me and Destiny debated some of these students, and I did a debate with a young Turning Point student, and it went viral because I was very aggressive with him. This was days after Robert Mueller died, and Donald Trump said, "I'm glad he's dead." And I had this kid that couldn't admit that it was wrong. I asked him like 6 or 7 times, "Will you admit that's wrong?" And just listen, 19, 20-year-old kid. I'm glad he's involved in politics. Nice kid, but just really embarrassing for him. But yeah, we debated a bunch of students that night. And Jack Posobiec agreed to debate me at an Unfuck America Tour event. We still don't know when that's going to happen. We have him on camera saying he would do it. But that was interesting. I also went out with them. A few weeks ago, we went to Cal Berkeley, and we did another event there. And I met some Turning Point students there, and they actually invited us to their meeting. And some of those videos went viral as well. And I put those up on my YouTube page as well. So I give them credit for wanting to have the discussion and have a debate. That's more I could say for a lot of other Republicans out there. So, yeah, it's good. It makes me feel really old Brooklyn dad, to go to these college campuses. Luckily I'm not Matt Gaetz, but that's another story. But it makes me feel really old. I'm 46 years old, debating a bunch of 20-year-olds. It's interesting, but I enjoy meeting new people and getting out there and talking to people. So it's been fun.
That is pretty cool. I'm curious now. Is the goal of Unfuck America is their goal to convert people who have been led astray over to the Turning Point USA or to the right, or is it to engage people on the left possibly and get them more actively involved in politics? What is the mission?
Well, you'll have to ask Z that question. She's the founder. I can only speak for myself, and I can tell you she would probably say something along the lines of, yeah, we want to change their minds. That's not really the way I think. When I go into a debate or a conversation or discussion, whatever you want to call it, I'm not trying to change anybody's minds. I'm just trying to share my opinions, give my thoughts, and tell them why I think they're wrong. In this day and age, it's very difficult to change people's minds. People are very, very stubborn.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I get somebody to call into my show that say, hey, man, I've been listening to your show and, you're right. I shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. But those are very few and far between. So, these people that go into these conversations, they think my goal is to change somebody's mind. And that's not why I do it. I do it because I want to get my voice out there. I want to give you my opinions. I want to tell you why I think you're ill-informed, why I think you're wrong. And, if it changes people's minds, that's great. But that's usually never my objective going into it.
I think ultimately the goal, whether it's Turning Point USA or Unfuck America, the goal is for these voices to get out there, for people to be able to freely express. Isn't that what Charlie Kirk was all about? Supposedly all about freedom of speech, although really it's just medium of speech or whatever. It's me.
You would think so.
Free speech. Yeah,
you would think that. You would think so. You would think that's what Erica Kirk would want as well. But I don't know. I mean, listen. I don't really like talking about Erica Kirk that much. But I'm sorry what happened to her husband. It's horrible. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Erica Kirk's behavior is very bizarre.
Yeah.
I do believe she's grifting off of her husband's death. Days after his death, before his body was even cold, she was sending out mass text messages asking people for money. She's over her dead husband's body. She had to tell somebody to record that. That's really bizarre stuff. Bragging about selling merchandise at her husband's memorial service. Listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think she had anything to do with what happened to her husband. I just think she's a very strange, odd human being. And I think it's really sad. But I think within a couple of years, I think Turning Point USA is done. People can say what they want about Charlie Kirk, but there will not be another Charlie Kirk. You're not going to get Ben Shapiro or Michael Knowles or Jack Posobiec to do the stuff that Charlie Kirk was doing. And I don't think Erica Kirk has done a very good job in handling Turning Point. So that's just my personal opinion. I think it's after this whole MAGA stuff is over with, I'd be shocked if Turning Point was still around.
I would just add to that. I think I think Erica Kirk probably could have taken a beat. Just like if it were me, I can only think about myself in that situation. That would be the most horrific things to lose your life partner, your love, your husband, your wife, and I would take more than a minute. I don't even know, I could probably not even go out in public and keep a straight face, I would just be beside myself. But what we saw her doing within couple of weeks of that, with the fireworks in the Coliseum and the holding JD Vance's head behind his
weird. Yeah.
It was just it's not for me.
It's weird. It's very weird behavior. As I've said, anybody on the left that celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder, I think that's despicable. I think we have to call that out, even though people on the right don't seem to call out jokes that were made when Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer. I think there's a double standard there. But, you know, I don't like to tell somebody how to grieve. But at the same time, if you can't afford to bury your husband, I think everybody would say very understandable to ask people for help.
Yeah.
Erica Kirk's worth over $10 million, and she's received over $10 million in donations. So, you know, what is she really doing to help others? I just, listen, again, I call out what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's terrible. And I hope that person who committed that heinous crime spends the rest of his life in jail. But I'm not going to sit here and celebrate Charlie Kirk's life. I think he was a bigot. I think Charlie Kirk was a really bad guy. And I hear these people on the right say, Brian, you know, I think you would have gotten along with him. No, I wouldn't have. The attacks on transgenders, the attacks on minorities. I'm sorry. I think he was a bigot. Doesn't mean he deserved to be murdered. I never would say that, but I think he was a bad guy. I'm not going to celebrate his life. That doesn't mean that I'm going to celebrate his death. I would never do that. Those are two different things. But I'm not going to sit here and shed a tear for bad people. When Rush Limbaugh died of cancer, I wasn't smiling. I wasn't glad that he was dead, but I wasn't crying either. I'll feel the same way about Donald Trump. That's who I am, and I'm going to stick by my principles.
Yeah, I think when that happened to Charlie Kirk, a lot of us came out publicly and said, "Look, we absolutely do not condone political violence." And not only that, me personally, I kind of, you know, I felt like, damn, you know, that could have been one of us, right? I mean, it's like the flip of a coin. Like, you know, it's somebody out there who didn't like what Charlie Kirk was saying and thought that that a bullet was the way to engage with the speech he didn't like. I didn't like what Charlie Kirk had to say about black pilots. I thought it was reprehensible and
terrible.
You know, in the 21st century, you're saying shit like that it's disgusting because he had such a massive audience. And so I don't want to spend any more time on him. What I do want to spend time on is talking about what the hell happened. You went from fuck your feelings, MAGA. You guys went from fuck your feelings to, oh, seashells. Oh, no. All of a sudden, you know, jokes are off limits. Seashells are off limits. Let's see. So speaking of Erica Kirk, Bluesky. So I only became aware of Bluesky in like the past 5 years or so. This guy came out of nowhere, and he is legitimately funny, whether you agree with him or not. He also did like a kind of biker thing too. People call it he was doing whiteface. I don't. Whatever, but the guy is very funny. He's all over the place. So he did Erica Kirk. More importantly, what he captured was like the strangeness, like how she like mad dogs the camera. She has a weird eye thing she does. So there was a big uproar over that. There was James Comey taking a picture of seashells 8647. I'm sorry, Brian, have you ever heard of 86 being used
no,
as a code for killing someone?
No, I hear it in Vegas all the time. Hey, I got 86 from the Bellagio. You know, it's a saying that I've heard. 86, you're getting thrown out. I never have considered 86 with violence, but this is how we know the entire administration is full of shit.
Yeah.
Todd Blanche was asked, are all these people on social media that say 8647, are you going to be charging them as well? Todd Blanche says no. Okay, then pardon my French, but what the fuck is the difference?
Yeah.
Okay?
It's going to be thrown out.
No, it's going to be thrown out. It's a joke and it's an embarrassment. And it's, again, a waste of taxpayer money.
President Obama. Oh, here we go. Matt Gaetz posted a tweet. We've now 86 McCarthy, McDaniel, McConnell. Better days are ahead for the party. Obviously, he didn't mean they killed those people, right?
Of course not. Yeah, of course not.
Canceled them. But meanwhile, President Obama was dealing with like actual like violent speech and threats. Everything from people hanging him in effigy. President Biden was shown hogtied on the back of a pickup truck. That's real, in my opinion, violent speech. Jimmy Kimmel makes a joke about Melania after which Donald Trump actually makes a similar joke because basically Trump is, I think, is 24 years older than Melania. So yeah, there's no way, she's obviously going to outlive him unless something, terrible happens, so.
Yeah, that whole situation is so stupid. First of all, the joke was made or written 3 days before the assassination attempt. Number two, how many people made jokes about Joe Biden and, memes about Weekend at Bernie's? These are jokes about him being old and you're going to die soon because you're old. It had nothing to do with inciting violence. All these people on the right know it. They're all a bunch of fucking liars. That's what they are. They're liars and they're selective outrage. They just don't like Jimmy Kimmel because he happens to be funny and he mocks the people that we should be mocking because it's so ridiculous, the times that we are living in today. And Jimmy Kimmel's not getting fired. He's not going anywhere. It was a joke about Donald Trump's age, just like people on the right made jokes about Joe Biden's age. It's the same stuff and it's absurd. Now, if Jimmy Kimmel made a joke about the assassination attempt or say, man, I wish he didn't miss. Obviously, that would be extremely inappropriate and nobody should be talking like that. That would be different, but that's not what Jimmy Kimmel did. And it's funny, these same people that are complaining about Jimmy Kimmel had absolutely no problem with Donald Trump making jokes about Paul Pelosi almost dying, being murdered, bludgeoned by a hammer, or Ted Cruz and Matt Gaetz making jokes about saying that it was some sort of gay relationship, but they never retracted or never apologized that. Why is it always the left? Why doesn't the right apologize for what they did? Jimmy Kimmel did absolutely nothing wrong. And as I tweeted at him the other day, I hope he doubles down on all the jokes on Melania Trump and Donald Trump, who I think are both absolutely despicable human beings.
Why don't they apologize? Because their leader does not apologize. Not once, not one time has Donald Trump ever apologized for a dang thing. And Donald Trump also, when he is caught saying something objectionable, something offensive, what do they say? They say, oh, he was joking. You can't take a joke. So jokes, okay for him, not for anyone else. And then
completely. Yep. I completely agree with you. And it's a double standard. I talk about it all the time. It's a complete double standard. They want to talk about the left killed Charlie Kirk. The left is trying to kill Donald Trump because one or two crazy lunatics try to do some crazy things. That means that it's half the country. I mean, how could you have a reasonable conversation with somebody like that? You had 1,500 people that were trying to overturn a free and fair election. I didn't hear any Democrats saying the right is trying to overturn blah, 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 blah. No, it was like 1,500 idiots that were there, 700 of them violent criminals. Do I think all people on the right are violent? No, of course not. But if you beat a police officer on January 6th, you're not a hostage and you're not a patriot. Just like I would say, if you try to kill the president of the United States, you're not a hostage or a patriot either. But they're not capable of calling out both sides.
Exactly. Well said. And then there was, of course, the whine heard around the world, get your effing hand out of my face. That was uttered by none other than Scott Jennings, paid CNN commentator, who really just got upset about a point that Adam Mockler was making about concessions. He was basically saying, name one concession that Donald Trump has extracted from Iran. He was trying to make the point that this Iran war effort has been a failure. And I tend to agree with him because he hasn't got any concessions. Now, Scott Jennings is one of those jackasses who will get in your face, who will put his finger in your face, as he did to Michael. I can't remember this brother's name. He puts hands in faces. He snide comments. In fact, just a few minutes before this, he told Adam Mockler, "Isn't it past your bedtime?" That's a dig on his age, right? Yep. So, what's up, MAGA? You got all the smoke, but you can't take it yourself.
Yeah, I've known Adam Mockler for 5 years. The first time I interviewed him, I knew that he would be a superstar because he's so intelligent, he's so eloquent, and I hanging out with him, I realized how humble he is. Scott Jennings is a piece of shit. Okay, he's a condescending prick, and he gets destroyed by people like Adam Mockler. I had Julie Roginski on my show yesterday, who gave me some stories about what an awful person Scott Jennings is. He's a terrible person. He's two-faced. He's smug. And then I got to tell you this, that the executives on CNN are a bunch of cowards. Not only did they not fire him, but they didn't suspend him, and there was no apology. And Scott Jennings was on CNN last night. What a joke. Imagine if that was you or me, and we were working for, we were working for our boss or whatever the case may be, and we behaved that way. We'd either be fired or suspended. There's no credibility at CNN anymore. None. Zero. And I do think there are some good journalists at CNN. I have a lot of respect for Caitlin Collins. I lost some respect for Jake Tapper after that Joe Biden book, which I thought was a joke.
Oh, yeah.
But I do believe there are some good people at CNN. Abby Phillips, she's okay, but I'm not really a fan of the format.
I
but
hate
the fact that I don't like
can't-
it either. But yeah,
I can't get into a table full of people all talking over each other. Like, I'm not getting anything out of that, and
yeah. Trust
do-
me, I know. I do Pierce Morgan. It's very frustrating sometimes. I love Pierce. I enjoy doing the show, but I think 4 panelists are too many. There should only be 1 Republican and 1 Democrat. There shouldn't be 4 people on a panel.
I think basically, if you are the moderator, right, you should have control of all of the mics of the people who are part of your panel. And if you have one person speaking, nobody else gets to talk over them unless you say it's okay. Right.
So so listen, Brooklyn Dad, I completely 100% agree with you. But the reason why they don't do that is because they want the viral moments. What happened with Scott Jennings and Adam Mockler is exactly what CNN wants, because it generates clips, it generates people talking about it, and it generates money. Like, there's no real news anymore. It's all about clicks and getting viral moments instead of just calm people at the table having civil discussions, which doesn't get the ratings anymore. So it's unfortunate, but these are the times that we're living in right now.
Yeah, somebody said, why I don't watch CNN. Like, I stopped watching CNN a while ago. Yeah, and it was basically because of that argue format. I don't like it. I actually like Abby Phillips. I like her. I like her. I like that she's intelligent, and then I like that she's very calm in how she delivers what she says.
She's smart. She's a smart lady. I take nothing away from her, and I guess it's really not her fault. I'm just not a big fan of the format.
Yeah, it's horrible. I can't. It's not watchable. Yeah. So anyway, let's agree then that why is MAGA why are they such snowflakes? That's the question. And have they always been?
I've dealt with this personally, because I do feel like there are too many people on the left that are too nice. I think we're finally starting to see a little bit of pushback. I have always been a very aggressive political commentator. I don't care. I match their energy. If they're going to say I have Trump derangement syndrome, I will say they have Trump fellatio syndrome. I just don't care anymore. I match their energy. If I think they're despicable people and they say despicable things, then I will call them as such. I just don't give a shit. And when you match their energy and you give them the same energy that you get, they lose it. They absolutely lose it. I mean, just look at my social media platforms and my Twitter account. I mean, they are so triggered by me. It doesn't matter what I tweet. It doesn't matter what I say, but I have fun with it. Example, Donald Trump was doing his stupid dance, as I like to call the masturbation dance. That's really what it is. It's just bizarre.
With the kids?
And so what I said is I made a joke on social media because some MAGA idiot said something about the dance and we're praising it and saying, why aren't Democrats giving an opinion on this dance? And I said, I have an opinion. I tweeted and I said, I think he's teaching those people how to, what's the word I could use that's not too filthy here, how to pleasure 2 men at the same time. And I think he learned it from Melania. So I put that up on Twitter, and dude, the hate that I got from that, they're so triggered by those kinds of comments. And you think about the comments they made about Michelle Obama calling her a man and all this other stuff. They're such snowflakes. Okay.
Yep.
Listen, I don't attack women because they make money for taking off their clothes. But you talk to a lot of people on the right, they call every OnlyFans model a prostitute. Then what does that make Melania Trump? What should we call Melania Trump then? The double standard is insane. If you're going to call every OnlyFans model a prostitute, then let's call Melania Trump a prostitute. I don't have a problem with women that do those things. That's their business, and show off your body, fine. But the double standard there is unbelievable.
What do you think of this comment by Joanne Kennedy here? Dems are way too kind, and the MAGA take advantage of it.
I couldn't agree with it more, and it pisses me off. It pisses me off that when Eric Swalwell, who's a scumbag, everybody on the left is calling him out.
Yeah.
Everybody on the left says, get the hell out of here, right? Right? I was one of them. Scumbag.
Yeah.
Why is it that we, and rightfully so, but yet you guys support Donald Trump? Why is it that Donald Trump could call on, and I'm not saying Democrats should do this, but a couple months ago, we forgot about this story. It's so crazy. Calling on the execution of 6 elected officials. Imagine if a Democrat did that. Imagine. I'm not saying we should go down to the depths of that level, but let's call Donald Trump what he is. He is a pedophile enabler at a minimum. And by the way, I'm willing to go further than that. He is a pedophile enabler. Why are we still not talking about Ghislaine Maxwell? The fact that she's still in a Club Med facility. Why are there still 3 million files that haven't been released in the Epstein files? Why does he not want us talking about it? Why did Melania Trump hold a press conference? Why are her attorneys suing or trying to throw lawsuits against some of my friends? Why are they trying to silence people? You know, this is the stuff that Democrats have to continue to ring home time again. Bissett today said that they should be happy that we're spending money on our credit cards. I mean, are you kidding me? Democrats need to be more aggressive. I didn't like what I saw on that stage for the California gubernatorial debate last night. I've had it. And Democrats need to step up now, because if you don't, it's not going to go the way you think. Okay. It's not going to go the way you think.
Folks who are watching right now, I'm curious to know if you agree with what Brian just said. Is it time for Democrats to take the gloves off and stop being so damn nice and to start meeting their meanness with our own meanness? Okay, so let's keep it going here. I want to touch on the Iran war. I think it's safe to say that it still is a war, despite the fact that Donald Trump is conveniently after the 60-day deadline was reached, in which he has to notify Congress that he is actually engaged in a war. They've called it off, and now they've called it Project Freedom or something, which now Project Freedom has been suspended. But the fact remains that first of all, Donald Trump says he has all the cards. Brian, have you played Uno?
I have, yeah.
Please explain to the audience.
Can I just say that
when you have all the cards in Uno, what does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Donald Trump has all the cards. So yeah, I think it's definitely. By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. That looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. Am I wrong?
That's the meme.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right thing. If Donald Trump had all the cards, then why is it that the Strait of Hormuz is closed? If Donald Trump had all the cards, then why does he keep saying that Iran is begging for a deal and there's no deal? If Donald Trump had all the cards, then why are they killing innocent people still, like those children? If Donald Trump has all the cards, then why are Americans paying $6 a gallon for gas? I mean, it's like, it's so stupid, man. It's so stupid. He has all the cards. Every single day, it's the same message. They're begging for a deal. They're begging for a deal. We're winning this war. Oh, really? What concessions? Can you name me one concession that Iran has given up? Just one. One concession. They haven't given up one.
Brian, this was the answer I was going for.
Yeah, sorry, I went on a tangent there. Sorry.
The goal in Uno is to have no cards. He's holding a bunch of Uno cards in his hand.
It's pretty stupid. Yeah.
But all the points you made are spot on, 100% correct. You can't have all of the cards. That's the same shit that he tried to tell what's his face, President Zelensky. You have no cards. Come on, what is it with cards and no cards, man? Just be a regular adult for a change. Stop trying to turn everything into some kind of viral meme or moment. Just do your fucking job as the president. We don't need you to crack jokes. We don't need you to say cool things or post memes. By the way, Iran is beating his ass in the meme department with those Lego rap videos.
Yeah.
He's getting destroyed. But yeah. So where are we going? How long do you think this war is going to last?
Well, here's what I think is going to happen. It doesn't matter what happens. Donald Trump is going to declare victory. No matter what happens in the future, Donald Trump is going to say we won. That's number one. So he's going to be lying either way, I think. And number two, what I'm afraid of is that Iran is going to get everything that they want. And they're going to be the winners here. That's what I'm afraid of, because they didn't think this through. They didn't think this through when it came to the Strait of Hormuz, that's for sure. They certainly didn't think this through when Donald Trump said, the civilians need to rise up. I think there's a lot of people in Iran that hate America more than they ever did because of what's going on there. They didn't get a smarter or less radical regime. I think you can make the argument they have a younger, more capable, and more radical regime. So they certainly didn't get that part of it either. What exactly have they accomplished? And they kept saying that
nuclear dust. They don't have that.
Right. Where's the uranium? Where is it buried? It's just like, it's so stupid. This war was so dumb from day one. At least George W. Bush had a consistent lie. I hate to praise him for lying, but at least they had one specific lie, which was weapons of mass destruction. We were told we obliterated their nuclear capabilities 8 months ago. And then you had Tulsi Gabbard under oath 10 months ago that said they had no reason to believe that they were furthering their nuclear capabilities. So Tulsi Gabbard under oath saying they haven't furthered their capabilities. A couple months later, we drop some bombs and we say we obliterated their capabilities.
Yep.
And now 8 months later, somehow they have those capabilities again, and we're obliterating their capabilities again. I mean, does anybody actually believe this bullshit? Anybody?
It's a huge pet peeve to me that they keep their constant go-to is Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Just imagine if they had a nuclear weapon. Oh, they were so close to having a nuclear weapon. No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, and everybody knows it. What I want to know from you is if Iran doesn't reopen the strait, we're headed into a recession, though possibly a global recession.
Yep.
What happens then?
I actually think we're headed towards a recession anyway. But if they don't open the strait, which I think eventually they will, because they're probably going to get all their demands met. But if they don't, what are the gas prices going to be in 6 months or a year from now? Are they going to continue to blame Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg or Barack Obama or George Soros or whoever else they're blaming? Right now, this country's in a lot of trouble. I really feel for and care for these Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck, that are struggling. It breaks my heart. And when you go into the supermarket and 98% of the products now are higher than they were a year and a half ago when Donald Trump took office, there are people that are losing their health care coverage and they can't even afford their insulin and their medications. That's where we're at right now. If we're still in this war 6 months from now, I mean, this is going to be George W. Bush times 10.
Yeah.
So I'm worried. I'm scared.
Somehow he got reelected. I was alive when that was happening, sadly. I mean, I don't know what the fuck happened. How did he get reelected?
I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And it's funny because I was invited to a Kamala Harris event in Vegas tomorrow, and I'm going to ask her this question. She needs to answer it honestly. As much as I respect Joe Biden and his wife, I think they're good people. Joe Biden made a very big mistake. He should have stepped down and said that he was a one-term president and given Kamala more than 3 months to campaign. I don't know what the result would have been, but that was a huge mistake that Joe Biden made. It's not the only reason why Kamala lost, but Kamala needs to be on the record. I know she's a classy lady, but you have to admit that that was a big mistake. If you can't admit that that was a mistake, then what are we doing?
Brian, I'll tell you, she's not gonna roll Joe under the bus, and no, by no means will she do that. But I will tell you this: the reason why Joe Biden did not do that, right, is because they were looking. Everybody always looks at Trump as an existential threat, and at the time, his calculation was, well, I'm just guessing, but his calculation was, damn, I really waxed this State of the Union address. So he thought, and I think it was February or March, he delivered that speech. He thought that was the same Joe Biden who was going to show up to a debate in June 19th or 27th, whatever. And if that same Joe Biden showed up at that debate and waxed Trump's ass, all this is an immaterial discussion.
Completely agree.
Joe would have gone on and beaten his ass, and that would have been that. But
completely
that's not
agree.
What happened.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That was a horrible debate performance. And listen, I give Kamala credit. I thought she did a really good job in that debate. That was probably, that Joe Biden presidential debate was probably the worst presidential performance in a debate ever. And the Democrats made a lot of mistakes. They shouldn't have allowed him to even go up there if they knew that he was going to be that much of a mess. Again, I think Joe Biden is a decent man. I think his wife is a lovely lady. I'm not like, that's one of the biggest characters that I talk about when it comes to Joe Biden was his empathy. He's a man of empathy. I don't think he has one bad bone in his body. I think he listened to people around him that gave him bad advice, and he should have said he was a one-term president and said, no, I'm not running again. And I thought that's not the only reason why Trump run. There's a lot of ill-informed people out there. I think the media has a lot to do with it. The propaganda, they're eating the taxing the dogs. There's a lot of stupid people in this country that believe the bullshit. And listen, I like Tim Walz. I think he's a really nice man. He has a nice family. Bad VP choice. That was another terrible debate performance. You have the vice, you have JD Vance standing there not willing to admit that Trump lost the 2020 election, and you just stand there and you don't go after him for that. I think Tim Walz had a bad debate. Now, with all this being said, am I saying Trump would 100% lose? No, I'm not. There are a lot of people in this country that don't care about Donald Trump's improprieties or the liable sexual abuse or the Epstein stuff. And they just don't care. They just hate women, particularly black women. They hate Democrats so much.
Yeah.
They hate immigrants so much that they're willing to vote for a guy who once bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission. I mean, you're never going to convince these people. You're not going to change these people. This is who they are.
So they played up the hate ratio to the nth degree. So I heard you mention immigrants. It wasn't just immigrants that they played up the hatred for. They played up the hatred for trans people. Also, for when you talk about Democrats, there's several subsets of Democrats. Like, have you noticed that Donald Trump has made a concerted effort to attack the black community, black people? DEI. DEI is code for black, in case you missed it, in case you missed.
I said this on the Roland Martin show a few weeks ago. I think it's code word for the N-word. I'm sorry I have to say that. But I think a lot of,
I don't know. I hadn't thought of that before.
I wish I didn't have to say that, but
no, you're right. Absolutely right.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And look what they try to take things of slavery out of the African American Museum. Like, what? Yeah. It's insane. So they attacked a whole lot of others. They helped that sense of victimhood, white victimhood, grievance, that grievance thing that was the lightning in a bottle that Donald Trump caught in 2016, and he went back and mixed that same nasty witch's brew, and here we are today. So hopefully there's enough people in the electorate who will reject that definitely in 2026 and absolutely in 2028.
I hope so. Brooklyn Dad. You try to speak the truth. I love what you do. I try to do the same. I'm not going to lie to you. Mentally, sometimes it takes its toll on me. It's difficult. But at the same time, I'm not going to change who I am. I could care less what people think about me. The people that I care about are my friends, my family. I care what they think about me. I don't care what some random idiot with 20 followers on X thinks about me. I don't care. I mean, I listen, I go on Twitter and I would say 90% of the time as I'm tweeting, I'm laughing. because I enjoy it. I enjoy triggering these idiots on X. I really do.
I love it.
The hate I get, I laugh so hard because they're such angry people. Like they'll attack me for what the hat I'm wearing. They'll attack me for my followers. They'll attack me for everything. But what they don't seem to understand, because many of these people are very stupid, is that they're actually helping my engagement. All the YouTube videos about me and all the stuff people say about me, they help my engagement. They help me. They help get me on Piers Morgan. They help get me on Fox News and CNN. They help get me speaking engagements. So that's why I welcome it, and I've learned to I've learned to embrace it. Quite frankly, I really have.
Let me read this out loud. I like this. This is from Nikki No Mercy. Says, I'm trans, literally less than 1% of the population. And listening to MAGA, you would think we were storming the gates, about to usurp the United States. It's so pathetic.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about this, Brian, because this is an issue. I feel like if we don't confront this head on, I think it's gonna, like, did you see Donald Trump with all the kids in the Oval Office? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, I did. That was
And so
very
he-
awkward.
Yeah, there he is telling kids, so you're not going to have men and women sports. Like, dude, can you give that shit a rest already?
Well,
So
Riley,
he's going back to that well.
Yep,
How do we
yep.
deal with this?
Riley Gaines is a perfect example of a MAGA grifter. She's still talking about it. There's less than 10 Division I college athletes that are transgender women. I hate the attacks on the trans community. It's very simple with these idiots. I get the question, what's a man and what's a woman? I think Democrats should take this approach. You're a man if you were born a man. You're a woman if you were born a woman. However, if you're a trans person, we're going to be respectful, and we're going to call you he or she based on what you think you are, and we're going to be respectful to people. Do I think that trans women should be competing with women on the playing field? No. But can you name me one woman that has ever died because a trans person was playing in sports? No, of course not. They don't want to talk about gun control. This isn't a top 5 issue. This isn't a top 10 issue. They don't want to talk about gun control. They don't want to talk about healthcare. They don't want to talk about the war in Iran. They don't want to talk about the economy. They don't want to talk about the real kitchen table issues. But what they want to do is they want to talk about trans people. You know, I had this debate on Pierce last week. One of the guys, Chris Rufo, I think his name is, was talking about how violent these trans people are. And then I said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's less than 3% of the population that's trans. A fraction of 1%, a sliver of 1%, are responsible for committing mass shootings. And yet they think this is a trans issue. Are you fucking kidding me? No, this is a young white male issue. This is an issue of gun control and mental health. 2 things that the Republican Party don't want to do anything about. That's what the issue is.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I had something I wanted to say, and then it just whoosh, just popped out of my head. But Brian, I thought I had it again, but no, it escapes me. But Brian, I want to thank you again for joining me. Your voice is so important to this movement. You cut right through the bullshit. You say it how it is, and
thank you.
Now I remember what I wanted to say. I think when people bring up the trans issue, I think Democrats in general should say the only reason that this person is bringing up the trans issue is because they'd rather talk about that than talk about issues that matter to you, the American people, about how they're going to make food, groceries more affordable, utilities, how you're going to deal with your health care, what they're going to do about, gas prices and education and all that stuff. They don't even want to talk about the Epstein files and how they are refusing to hold people accountable there. So let's talk about things that matter to the American people, and let's leave these distractions on the wayside.
I agree. Let's continue to talk about the real issues that are affecting American people rather than trying to attack transgenders. But that's what they do. This is the history of the Republican Party. They go after they think being gay and having gay marriage, it's a sin and it's bad. They think people who have the transgender surgery is mutilation. They use that word.
Or as Trump calls it, Trump calls it mutilization, which is not a word.
Right. Drop your kid off at school. They're going to come home another gender. It's scare tactics. That's what it is. These are personal decisions that families should be able to make with professionals. I want to stay out of your life. I want you to be who you are. I guess I'm a libertarian when it comes to that sort of stuff. I don't want government involvement in our lives. Yeah. The only government involvement I want is from a financial standpoint. If people are struggling and they need to survive, then the government should be able to provide you health care. The government should be able to provide you enough means to be able to live. That's it. And that's always been my take on that.
Let me thank Brian before you go. I just want to say,
Sure.
as my friend Samantha says here, please smash that like button if you haven't already. And thank you for joining us, Brian. It's always a thrill. I will be looking out for your interview with Adam Mockler. I think you said it's Thursday?
It's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah, tomorrow. Yep. I got Adam Mockler joining me tomorrow at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. If you guys want to subscribe to my YouTube page, that would be awesome if I could give that out. At PTL Radio Show. So that's at PTL Radio Show. And I'm also pushing the limits on my Facebook fan page. Those are the two best places. If you want to just enjoy me attacking MAGA, I guess you could follow me on Twitter too, the Brian Shapiro. Yeah, that's me. The Brian Shapiro on Twitter, but at PTL Radio Show is my YouTube page, and I'm on Facebook as well. And I have fun. And I think a lot of the fans of yours, I'm one of them. You have a lot of smart listeners and a lot of people that are on the right. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. On the right side of democracy and the right side of history. And hopefully your fans would enjoy what I do as well if they don't already, if they don't watch my show. But I appreciate you doing my show today. Keep up the good work, my friend. I've been following you on social media way before we became friends. So keep up the great work. I love what you do.
Thank you, buddy. Same here. And just hang tight for a minute here while I sign off with our folks here. And folks, thank you for joining me and Brian today for a very invigorating and fun discussion about where we are and where we're headed and how do we deal with things going forward. So as always, I look forward to seeing you guys here next week, same time, same place. I love you all. Peace. Incredible person, incredible human being. Yes, famous. Yes.